right, everybody, welcome to another awesome, fun, super duper exciting session of Archangel Odyssey. So today we are covering the dream conversation. And in this module, we'll talk about how to have email or DM conversations with potential dream clients who have raised their hand. Just give me 10 seconds. All right. So the intention is to get clarity on their dream come true from their perspective and their obstacles, and make sure you can help them and make sure they'll be a dream client for you. And if there are no red flags, you can send them the love letter that we're going to be working on together that we started last week. So before we start, what have been your biggest challenges when speaking to prospective dream clients about working with you? So let me know in the chat. So when it comes to sales or enrollment or anything along those lines, what have been your biggest challenges? I can explain it clearly. Yep. Clarity. Yep. Asking for the money at a high price. Totally. One second, I'm just going to close my door. Keep it coming. Commitment of time. Interesting. To change the conversation from building rapport to asking for the sale. Okay, all these are great. Asking for payment. Yep. David, the guy who said pitch me, completely threw me off. Wow. Okay, so part of what I love about this whole process is that it can be done digitally, meaning through email or through any kind of messaging, DM, or even text message, technically, if you want. Not to say that you shouldn't want to be able to speak to people, whether it's in person, on the phone, on Zoom. I actually highly suggest that become a skill that we all master over time. However, to build up that confidence, I want to show you how to do this through words, through email, through DM, and to give the actual framework for all of this. So what we're at the point where someone has raised their hand. In our next session, I'll show you how to have them raise their hand to say, hey, I'm interested. But for now, just assume they've raised their hand in some way. So typically how this would look is that, let's say there's a message that goes out or a post or something. And then the instruction in the post is comment or DM or email me back with the word blankety blank, and I'll send you more details. You've probably seen me do this a lot. So someone has responded to that kind of messaging and they want more details. And this is the choreography of what happens next. So before I even show you this, the paradigm I want you to think about is that you are chatting with a friend through text message, meaning it's not a corporate memorandum. It's not a super official looking thing, and it's not super long. It has to be easy to respond to. So the first message is what I call the warm welcome. And you want them to feel welcome and safe and get consent and permission to have the conversation. Once you start doing this enough, sometimes you can skip this first one, but just for the sake of this process, I think it's important to understand it. So in the first response, you can say something like, hey, first name, whatever the first name is. Thank you so much for getting back to me. What I'd love to do is ask you a couple of questions to learn more about you. And in brackets, I put your current situation. You can put whatever you want in there based on what your industry is or the work you do. Is that okay? And typically 99.9% of the time, they're going to say yes. And the intention and the idea here is to get them used to responding. So there's the words I'm going to show you, like the actual copy itself, like the emails you send, but then there's the strategy behind everything that's even more important. And what you want to do is get people used to responding to you. And it's like building trust through conversation online. So is that okay? Yes, perfect. When they respond, you move on to the next segment, which I call the reality check. So the purpose of the reality check is to get an idea of their current scenario. And again, The next question has to be super easy to respond to, because what you don't want to do is ask a super deep question where they would have to think for 20 minutes just to try to even wonder what the answer could be. That actually, like, that repels people. You want to ease into conversation by making it super simple up front, and then you can get into deeper and deeper questions as you go along. So the first question could be based on your industry, whatever your thing is, but a question like these ones: what kind of clients do you coach? Or how much weight are you looking to lose? Or what kind of business do you run? Or what kind of medicine do you practice? Or what industry are you in? Or if you really want, like, what city are you in? If you notice, by the way, whenever I do one of these sessions, often the first question I ask is, hey, what city is everybody in? Now you know why I do this. It's like the easiest question to answer. And what I want is engagement. I want people typing in the chat because I want interactivity. I want involvement. And this is what you will want with the people you chat with. So it's not a very contextually important question. It's more strategically to get people used to responding. And I'm curious, for all of you, what could your reality check question be? Please type an idea in the chat. So what could your reality check question be? Please type an idea in the chat. Super duper easy question. Where are you getting married? Brilliant, Ron. Or even when, or I guess, yeah, if you have a date already, that kind of thing. Now, Tiffany asks, what do you need help with right now? Tiffany, I would actually save that for a future question. I'll show you why. And again, you literally don't want them to have to think more than 5 seconds. So it should be a super easy question about them. How old is your child? Sue Ellen, perfect. And Emmy wrote, what are you most passionate about? Again, it's kind of open-ended, and they would have to think. The key thing for this first question is they shouldn't have to think more than 5 seconds. Like, what is your last name? Not that you would ask this, but it's an answer that should pop right into your brain right away and super simple. David, how many people do you manage? Perfect. What business are you in? Awesome. Thank you. These are all great, great, great. Okay, so let me continue. Once you have an understanding of the reality, you go deeper with this, which is what I call the magic questions, to really understand the present and the future. So you've seen me talk about these things, but now you'll see the context and we can come up with how you can use this. So the first magic question is what I call the dream question, to understand their dream come true future. And it's always best to include a specific time frame based on the work that you do. So I like to think of these 3 timeframes as my favorites: 30 days, 90 days, or 12 months. And a very generic version of this would be 12 months from now, what has to have happened for you to consider the year a dream come true? Now, it could also be 12 weeks from now. And then I would add context based on the work that you do. So you want to talk about their dream come true future based on the work that you do, based on how you can help them. So what could your dream questions be? Let's have some fun with this. And don't worry, there's no right or wrong answers. Part of this process is to brainstorm with each other and see what comes up. And we can guide all of us together to figure out what these things could be. The key, though, is that you want to be in the future. You want them to be in the future. So starting with a time frame to say 12 months from now or 12 weeks from now, what has to have happened with respect to fill in the blank for you to consider the time a dream come true, or for you to be super happy with the outcome? Those kinds of questions. So let me start reading some of these. What's missing in your life that you want in the next 12 months? Okay, I would reframe. It's a great start. I would reframe it to literally time traveling for them or with them to say. So let's say it's today is or a year from now is New Year's Eve. Let's just say for context. Imagine you and I were chatting on New Year's Eve. What has to have happened by then for you to be super happy with respect to whatever the work you do? So, with respect to your health transformation, what has to have happened by this day for you to be super happy? Or with respect to the team culture, what has to have happened with your team for you to be super happy with the outcome? With respect to your revenue growth, with respect to your lead generation, with respect to your presence on this specific social media platform, right? So you're always trying to use the category of the work that you do, and then you future pace them so that they start coming up with ideas. So Sue Ellen wrote, what has to have happened in 12 months to feel confident you are a great parent and for you to consider your dreams for your family are coming true? I love that. But try just a slight tweak is to be in the future looking backwards. So Sue Ellen, I would say, if we were chatting 12 months from now, or if we were chatting on this specific day, whatever that is, looking back over the past year, what has to have happened with respect to your parenting or with respect to your relationship with your children for you to consider that time a dream come true? And Eve wrote here, what would your ideal event look like once your project is complete? Yeah, I think so. Part of this whole process is to digging into what they consider a success. So with respect to the work that you're all doing with people, what do they consider a success? So these are all amazing, amazing answers. The next question is what I call the kryptonite question. And this one is a bit easier because once someone comes up with a picture of what their future could look like, their brain would automatically tell them why they can't do it. It's kind of pre-programmed into our psychology. So the kryptonite question is then, what are the biggest obstacles and challenges that could prevent the dream from coming true? You could, if you wanted to, copy and paste this exact question or change it for adding a bit of context to however you would normally speak. You also want this to sound like it came from you. So what could your kryptonite question be? Or just copy the one I just showed you, right? So it's like, what obstacles or challenges could prevent your dream from coming true? So what could your kryptonite question be? And I'll bring it back to here if you want to see this one. So David says he already uses this question. That's awesome. Jenna too. Yeah, totally. You can use this exact language. Part of our working together is if there's something that I'm doing that works really well, please use it. It works. So I'm going to continue. The third question is what I call the solution question, to determine the way they're thinking about the solution to their problem and to see if you'd be a good fit. So again, I love this one because you can copy and paste if you wanted to. Where could you use some help, support, or advice right now? Where could you use some help, support, or advice right now? And I could ask you to come up with a question like this, but really stick to this one as close as possible. Where could you use some help, support, or advice right now? You can add to the end of this to say, with respect to whatever your thing is. And then David, you're like a step ahead of me, because my favorite question of all time is the help question, which is, would you like some help? David, you're the best. So by going through this process, what you actually want is not only to understand them, but for them to feel understood. And this is actually very appropriate sales training if you were speaking to someone in person or on Zoom or on the phone. It's just done electronically so that it helps create safety for them and for you. But you can use this exact structure would work really well in conversation, in face-to-face conversation. And this last question, would you like some help? Just you can actually end the statement there, or the question there. Would you like some help? Or would you like some help with, and then whatever the transformation is, or the industry, that kind of thing. And again, if you get to this place, the majority of the time, the answer is yes. Now, there's an important part of all this, because besides just asking questions, what you're also looking for is how they're responding. What are they saying in their responses to give you clues that they could be a dream client for you? Because if you, I'll come up with a funny analogy. If you sell flowers or a florist service and all they're talking about is plumbing, then maybe there's a disconnect. Like, I know it's a funny example, but we all have these things where you may not actually be able to help someone. So the key is to look for alignment, to make sure that you can help them, and to make sure that they would be a great person for you. Because, and this is a framework, or I guess a paradigm someone taught me years ago that I love, is that when you are looking to enroll clients and you have the service or the program or the business, often you feel like you're auditioning for the client. Does that make sense? Like, it feels like you're auditioning for them, and yet it's really the opposite. They're auditioning for you. Are they going to be a dream client for you? And if you come from that energy of a talent scout looking for the next great stage performer for your play, or actress for your movie, you're auditioning them. Like, come from that energy, even if it's the written word. It changes everything. So again, what could your help question be? Would you like some help is all by itself a perfect statement. If you wanted to add based on the work you do, you can totally do that. And Jenna, can you unmute and just share what you wrote in the chat? Because I think that's really cool.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
I forget now. I think I said, oh yeah. I just did a client call and we were chatting. I recorded the call and she said, and I used the opportunity. I said, okay, well, how are you enjoying this call? What are you getting out of it? Do you have any more questions? And she said, I was going to work with a psychiatrist or psychologist, but I feel like you see me and you're talking to me, and which I thought was awesome. And she's like, I feel really comfortable with you, all these kind of things. And then that was pretty much it. So just how that made her feel safe and you can help me. And I'm also extremely confident in the process because I've done it for so long. So that comes through, right? That safety and feeling.
Totally. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And David wrote earlier today, he wrote in the chat that someone said, pitch me. And David, here's, if that ever happened, how I would respond is, I would love to, but before I do that, I'd actually like to ask you more about you, because it wouldn't be, you wouldn't want to hire me as your coach if all I ever did was talk about me. Let's actually dig in and get to know you a little bit better, kind of thing, right? And just reframe the whole thing and start from that place.
Brilliant. It was a few years ago. I've learned a lot since then, but yeah, I love that. That's a great frame. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so when they say yes to your help question, you move on to the next segment, which is what I call the love letter prescription. And when you feel the person is a yes for your business or your program or your service, you want to invite them to work with you. So we've already started talking about the love letter itself in the last module. Now, this is the email that sends the love letter to them. And this is what it could look like. So, okay, great. We can definitely help this. And by the way, anything in pink is what you can change. But I suggest using a Google Doc or any kind of link. So just whatever word makes sense there. This Google Doc below has all the details. Please check it out. And A, tell me what you think. And B, let me know if everything makes sense or if you need clarification. And then the actual link so that they can click on it and open your love letter. Now, there's something very, very important about this. Actually, what it doesn't say. And I've tested a lot of language for this specific messaging. And what this doesn't say is, if you have any questions, please let me know. Now, why am I not asking them if they have any questions? Does anyone want to guess in the chat? Why am I not saying, if you have any questions, please let me know, or something along those lines? Yeah, Ronnie's saying you plant the wrong seeds. So the idea is, if you ask someone, or if you say something, if you say, if you have any questions, psychologically, they may think, oh, I should probably have some questions. And even if they had no, like, even if they were in and they wanted to join, they may now think, wait a minute, should I be asking questions? And that could actually create the wrong energy for you. And using this specific language is way more effective. And if you remember the way the love letter works, so what they're going to do is click on this link, open the love letter, read the whole thing. At the bottom of the love letter, it says, the next step is to respond to my email or message with the words "I'm in." So what can happen, and this is the actual email that they would be responding to, if it's an email, or it could be a DM on social media or a text kind of thing. So that's how this whole process works. And this is an example. Now, this is, let's say you have a team member sending it for you. I actually did a screenshot of this. It says, thank you for letting us know your preferences. Dr. Stephanie asked me to let you in on a new pilot program she's launching. This Google Doc has all the details. Check it out. And it's the exact same structure I just showed you. The only change is how because it was one of our team members sending it out, that's who the conversation was with. So your mission, and we'll get into Q&A in a second, your mission is to create a Google Doc with drafts of your dream conversation questions and the love letter prescription message. And why a Google Doc? Here's why. Because the best part of this whole process is that as you refine it and figure out what language works for you, it becomes copy and paste for yourself. So someone sends the first email, copy paste. Here's the dream question, copy paste. The kryptonite question, copy paste. And it's literally the most efficient process ever. It takes some iterations to figure out what works for you, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. But the structure works really well. So before we get into Q&A, what's been most useful so far, and where do you need clarity? So let me know in the chat what's been most useful so far and where do you need clarity? Okay, we'll do feedback and then questions. So David, go ahead, if you can come on.
Yeah, the biggest thing, I think, just that reminder that you're auditioning them. Like I even said after my first year of coaching, where if you were breathing and had a check, you were a client. It became about, I want to work with people who have certain qualities and all that. And it is a bit of auditioning them, but the way you said it even put more emphasis on that. So I think it was really, really useful.
Thank you. People like the auditioning. Thank you. Emmy?
Love how you're always asking me when I'm typing it out. I'm like, good, I can stop typing. So yeah, the whole like make sure they're not thinking about it for 5 seconds, but that actually is my question then, because my ideal client is visionary. So to me, a visionary knows, right, like what are you most passionate about? Boom, like ending world hunger. Boom, like, you know, I don't know, stopping climate control, like whatever. To me, that is a on the top of their head question. Would you agree, or do you think it's still?
Okay, so it would have to be phrased then as something like, what is the cause you are most passionate about?
Okay, beautiful.
When
beautiful.
right, so it's like a fast answer. It's like, oh,
right,
global warming.
Yeah, the cause. I like that.
Climate change.
Because I was actually thinking like, how do I put that? But I like that just easy. What is the cause? And I just want to ask a clarification question. So if this is an email, obviously it's DMs, I get it. One question, one answer, one question, one answer. If it's emails, is it literally the same? What? Oh my good God, that makes me anxious. I effing hate emails. The thought of having to read 7 effing emails and find them. Oh my God.
This is okay. So it becomes so easy.
It's easy if you don't have 7,000 emails in your inbox, Gio.
But it's still like you can, there's ways to use your inbox to flag things.
I have to, yes, that's what I need to
use folders and to the point where, well, let me actually tell you all a fun story. One of the first times we did this with Dr. Stephanie, we meant to send the email to a segment of her email list. We actually sent it to her whole email list. At the time, it was 100,000 people. And we sent the email right before we flew out to Los Angeles to host one of our events. We landed and there were 500 responses to the, and remember, it's like 5 different emails back and forth. It worked out to 1,200 different people responding, 1,200 individual people who needed back and forth. So during our live event in Los Angeles, a whole bunch of us were in this inbox, copy, paste, copy, paste. Now, the cool thing is, you know, depending on what inbox you're using, it tracks responses. Like there's a little number that says, this is the 5th back and forth, 7th. So we would actually know, okay, it's 7th, that means it's this message that has to go copy paste. But it was, thank goodness for the copy paste thing.
Yes, thank you. I understand that's not everyone's challenge, but I appreciate you expanding.
No, but this is email management is part of this. And it's all a skill set we all will learn. So thank you. Rochelle has a question.
When you say if you need any clarification, isn't that just another way of saying, do you have any questions? I'm totally lost in that distinction.
No, so if you have any questions, sounds like they need to have a question. Clarification to me means, is there an area where you're not clear? It kind of gives them permission not to have to answer or ask a question if you need clarification. That's why I like, it's just I know it's maybe
to me it sounds the same.
It has the same feeling, but there's been countless times of going through this process where the response is I'm in. And then when I used to ask, do you have any questions? There was always a question, always. Like it was interesting. So
I can see by saying like, oh, let me know if this makes sense, period. But I think once you put in, or if you need clarification, to me, that's like asking a question. But if you're telling me based on your results that you don't get questions, then I'm taking it from the Lord has spoken and call it.
Well,
I mean, my interpretation is baloney. What I love about all of this is you filtered this for us already.
Yes.
So you know that the word question is a god-awful thing to write in. And what you've paraphrased it is with unique clarification. So you've done all of the groundwork, so to speak. So I'm not questioning it. If you say it works, call it a day.
It works. 3 things will happen. 1, they respond with I'm in. 2, they respond with a question, which you kind of want to invite that if they actually have one, because that will help you edit your love letter. Because if stuff keeps coming up, you're like, I should add this to the love letter. Or they don't respond at all, which sometimes happens. And then I can show you how to follow up in a future module that we're doing. But for now, it's more about the structure of these questions. So thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you.
Jenna has a question.
Yeah, hi. So this is instead of a sales call.
It depends on Okay, so in my experience, anything under, let's say, $5,000 as a package can be done this way without a sales call.
Wow.
Now, if you prefer, depending on what your price point is, you could have the next thing be a sales call instead of direct to them purchasing, because that will give you more ammunition with language to figure out what they need, and that works. I have a client who sells a mastermind for 8,000. It was all done through email.
Okay.
So I can tell you it's possible. If your process leads to a conversation and you're okay with that, then you can do that too.
Yeah. I almost even feel like if it's a group program, to invite them into like, hey, these 4 people are going to be on a call to all ask their questions, because then they get the group vibe. Because
Yep.
I get people work with me one-on-one, then all they want to do is work with me one-on-one. And I want to move people into groups. So I think that would be, I would just end up having them be like, but I just want to work with you. Any tips on that? Like how to like big up the group program?
I love what I would call a test drive. So if what you're doing is a group, part of the marketing of it could be to say, I'm doing actually, I think an email that we sent out today went to everybody. You may have all received it, to say a senior session thing that I do. It's almost a test drive of a group coaching mastermind thing. And it's another way to, over time, to give people a sense of what it's like to work with you.
Okay.
However, what is the current price point of your offer?
My offer, I think I'm going to do 2,000 for the 3 months, and like 6 months with me is 9 to 12,000 one-on-one.
Yeah. So for the 6 months, you probably wanted to call. Plus, you don't want to be working with someone that isn't a right fit. So that call is.
Oh yeah. My one-on-ones, I want to talk to
Yeah.
them. I actually literally don't take everybody on.
Right.
And a little bit awkward, but it's okay.
For the
So
2000 thing, you can do it without a call.
yeah, that's super cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. I was like, wait, do I still do a call? Where are they going? Okay. That they just go, the idea is that everything's written so well in their mind. They're like, you see me, you know me, I want this, click to buy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, cool.
But they're not clicking right. So that
Clicking to the letter.
They're responding saying I'm in, so they're committing, but they haven't actually, right? So that's an important part of all this.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Tiffany, did you want to come on and ask your question?
Hi, Gio.
Hey.
I get a lot of inquiries just on their own. Like it's like that immediate, like Instagram or Facebook, and I'm not even getting that chance to send an email. So because they're already asking, they're like, and it's kind of like what Jenna just said. They're like, I just want you. So I feel like I'm always, again, auditioning them.
Yep.
So am I sending this love letter then after this initial contact, or?
Well, you wrote the word call in your comment here. You don't have to do a call. So let's say it's on Instagram, and you do a story or something, and someone says, "Hey, I love this. How can I work with you?" I would follow the structure. It's like, cool. I if it's okay with you, I want to ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better, to see if I can actually help you. And then you go through it's in your DM, copy paste. They answer you, and then you can say, "Well, listen, I think I could really help you. Here's what I'm doing right now. Here's the link to check it out. Get back to me," or just whatever language you want to use, but it's in your DMs. It's the exact same process. We do it all the time, especially on Instagram.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just going through the chat here. Sophie.
I was typing a comment, so I forget. Yeah. So for a high ticket priced item, a program, I would imagine that there needs to be some sort of, on the client side, that they would want to know, use. I feel like the video is something that I would need before I sign up for something so expensive, right? No?
Depends on what high ticket means.
Hmm.
So how do you define that phrase?
Well, let's see. I'm just imagining for myself, if I see something that seems to work for me, it's, I don't know, 3,000. But I don't, yeah, I think I'd want to see who that person is. I mean, maybe she has a voice that annoys me. I don't know. I don't know, just,
Well, chances are, see, this is the thing. If they're if they're having a conversation with you, or if they're having the dream conversation with you, they already know who you are.
yeah, but I don't
And I'll
know.
show you how to get to that. Like in future modules, that's where they get to know you. So by the time this is happening, it's not a complete stranger having this conversation with you. So they don't need a video. Now, if it's at a price point where you prefer to do a like a Zoom call or in person or phone call or whatever that is, then instead of the call to action of the love letter saying, if you're interested, reply with "I'm in," it's let's jump on a call. And to even say, part of this process is an interview, and during this interview, here's what happens.
So you're saying they already know you from either prior interaction or they've seen videos of you on whatever. Okay.
Right. So like they're either getting this from an email that you've sent them
Mm.
or from social media, which means they're following you.
Right. I see what you mean, yeah.
So we'll get to how that happens after, but this is, I'm reverse engineering the whole process. So we're starting starting with them being a client and reverse engineering all the steps. And again, and Renata asked for programs priced at 5,000 and up. Again, I would suggest that the call to action be to jump on a call with you, if that's your typical process anyways. And then at some point to experiment with doing this whole thing through email. Okay, so I also today wanted to, so David wrote a draft of his love letter, which he shared in campus. So thank you, David, for that. And I want to, he has given me permission to sort of give David feedback, but to be useful for all of you to see what this looks like. So I want to open up his love letter. So give me 1 second. And actually, before I do, I have a fun logistical gift for all of you. So if you can see this, right now I'm inside the Odyssey section of Archangel Campus to make all of your lives easier to find things. Now, if you go to Odyssey Live modules, this is the training, this is the coaching call for each module. So the circle, transformation, map, blueprint, love letter, dream conversation. So right now, this one was posted Monday. The replay of today will be here tomorrow. So that way, everything you need, you can find. And with the replays of these ones, you'll get the slides for each one too. So everything is easy to find. Now, David, are you there? Can you unmute?
I am here.
Okay, so this is David's love letter. Thank you for doing this so far. Can you all see this? Just not? Okay, cool. So I love all of the language you've used. I love that you've used basically my structure and format. The most important thing I would edit is the introduction here, because you go right into almost teaching. Like this is an education, you're talking about leadership as a skill. And you go right into talking about your thing. And to me, you want to start, even the first the first sentence is that who you're looking for. So you can even copy I'm looking for a group of these people who want this specific result in this specific number of days. So that once they read what the transformation is, it's what I call the summary, like the first section of the love letter. And I would start with that as the first paragraph. And then you can get into everything else here. So this is great detail.
Okay.
You're an awesome writer. And then this is for you. if, perfect. By the end of the program, perfect. So these are all of the like the transformation and the map. So these are all concepts or tools that you take people through, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's, I had actually put something together 2 years ago and just never ended up developing it further. And so I'm using it to do this. So I think I had to add, it was 11 sessions. I had to add one to make it 12.
Yeah, perfect. Now there's a fun, and this is a lesson for everybody here. There's a way to name your map phases that I love, where you add the word the. So let's say human by example, you would add the word the at the beginning and some kind of tangible word at the end that represents a noun, like a thing. So the human by example process, or the emotional and social intelligence tool, or the effective agreements formula, so that it feels like if I love analogy and I love using our imaginations. If you imagine your map to be a factory, let's say, just for fun, for analogy, a factory that makes Tesla cars. So the thing that comes out of the factory is a brand new shiny car, which is the outcome of the transformation. Inside the factory, there's a station for windshields. There's a station for the engine. There's a station for the doors. There's a station for the wheels. And then it all gets put together and the beautiful outcome is the car, which is what the person actually wants. They kind of don't care about how it's made, but they want to know that they're all there. Each one of your segments or your milestones of your map is like a station in your factory. And if you name it that, where it feels like it's a tangible thing, it actually creates higher perceived value of the map itself. So if you called it
awesome.
the human by example thing, framework, blueprint, process, tool, something along those lines. Again, this is for all of you. You can do the same thing. It actually can elevate the perceived value of the map itself.
And it doesn't have to be like, for example, I have the last like numbers 9, 10, 11 are actions, where we're doing this in a one-on-one, we're doing it in career planning, that type thing. So it could be, it doesn't have to be like the most amazing one-on-one process or something like it doesn't need all that extra.
It doesn't, well,
it doesn't need a lot of extra.
Make it a noun and not a verb.
Okay, perfect.
And the rest is basically the exact structure that I teach. So this is a great example of a love letter, and you've posted it in Campus. So if people want to see it, there's a link to this Google Doc in there.
Yeah, admittedly, I actually started with your section titles, and then I put the title I wanted and removed your section title.
Totally fine. Right. So what you're going to do then is, as you're sending this to people and you're going to get feedback, there may be stuff you want to remove. It's like, you know what, I don't need to say this anymore. Or the same question keeps coming up and like, oh, I should really add this one sentence to add to this. So you want to think of this as an organic living thing that will keep evolving as you have more and more conversations with people.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like, again, I'm on the phone today. Sorry, everybody, but it does seem like some people have some good questions in the chat. One that popped my eye particularly is the quantity of information. Is it too much or not?
Right. So my next, my point about detail or level of content is every word counts. So there's such thing as having not enough information that people need. And there's also too much. And that's why I consider this a living document, because you need it to interact with people to figure out what works. And it's for all of you, especially if you're not used to writing, don't worry about having a lot of detail. You have to have exactly what people need to know based on the structure that we teach. And then you can add to it based on interactions you're having. So if you get a question that comes up all the time, then you add whatever that topic is from that question.
So from the standpoint of the one I threw out there, then that with the changes you're suggesting, and I've gotten a little bit of other feedback that I want to put in there as well in the community. So thank you, community. Then that would probably be the good one to experiment with first.
Yeah. And again, for everyone else, you have a lot of this detail already, and that's partially why you've created this way. You don't follow the structure that we talked about in the last module for everybody, and then you'll post it and I'll give you feedback in Campus 2. And Sophie, can you share what you wrote here in terms of email?
Yeah, so last time we met, you talked about the love letter, and I went like this, and I remembered that I'd forgotten to do the love letter in my whole funnel to get to my course that started today. So I scrambled, and I didn't scramble, I just changed a few things in the previous version and whoop, put it out. And then when people said, yes, I want to learn, that's the code I used, I forgot, and I just copied the letter and stuck it in the email.
It's not a mistake. It's I've done that too before. It's just cleaner to have less words in an email and then a link that they click out and see the thing.
Yeah. I did it very quickly, and then I realized when I went back and I looked at it, I was like, look, this looks really forbidding. But next time I'll.
Okay, so I'll answer Renata's question super quick. If you have case studies, definitely add them. That was the optional, like phase 8 of the love letter. If you have case studies or stories, add them to your love letter at the end. And then Mike George gets the last question, and then we'll break for today.
Okay. So I've been doing LinkedIn posts for about 2 months now, and always at the end, I said, if you want to learn more about the formula, type formula in the message. And I got my first one yesterday.
Nice.
So is that the reality check? Is that is that the next step?
Well,
or what should I do? Because they just put it in the comments, and now how do I
would DM them and ask permission to say, hey, I saw your comment. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? But so you can use comments if it's on social media. I prefer DM to say DM me with the word, whatever it is. And then the conversation happens in there.
Got it. Thanks.
And Renata, you can put them anywhere you want. But yes, at the end for case studies. So thank you all for today. Start working on your dream conversation language, and I will see you all again for the next one. Have a good day.